Hey everybody, March 18th, 2020. I'm trying this new technology with the Zoom and just trying to find out if this is going to work when we come back on March 30th, if we have to come back on March 30th. And so I thought the best way to do it is through current events. A lot of people were asking me, Granning, can we still do current events? I don't know what's going on. So here's my attempt at doing it. But here is current events for today. If we sit there and look at it, nationwide, the worldwide shelter in place bills, and then trade it. And so just current events today, one of the first things I'd like to show you today is, if you haven't seen this before, it's called NCOV 2019.live. If you haven't seen this before, it's actually kind of a cool website. A kid in Washington created this way before this was even an epidemic or even close to being a pandemic. What it does is it shows you on the left-hand side here the number of people who have confirmed cases. You have the number of total deceased, total serious cases, and then you can also see based off of state. So if we go down, you can hopefully find Minnesota. And right now you can see we have 60 confirmed cases in Minnesota. 0 people have died, 0 have recovered, and we have 0 serious cases. And so it's kind of a cool little website. But here is, here it is for today. And of course, I'm trying to do this better than what I'm doing this right now. But here is the current events for today. So the first one is nationwide. And as you just saw, here's a map of the United States. Right now, there's 5,878 confirmed cases in the United States. 106 people have died. If you look at that, that's 9 more deaths than yesterday. If you want to base off state, you can use the NCOV 2018.live, or you can look at these numbers right here. You can see in terms of things, Minnesota right now is the 15th most. And these numbers are from last night, and so they've been updated a little bit on NCOV. But you can see the one state that you don't see on here is West Virginia. If you didn't hear, West Virginia now does have 1 confirmed case, and they've only given 22 tests out so far, so 1 confirmed case out of 22. Not good. The next thing, the world, the one part of the world that everyone's kind of talking about right now is Italy, just how fast coronavirus is spreading right there. If you haven't heard, 367 people died in Italy alone yesterday. 309 people died the day before. And so this is kind of what the United States is trying to prevent from happening. You can see the part of northern Italy where most of this is actually happening. It's not in like Rome and southern parts of Italy, but in northern Italy. One of the reasons why it's so bad we're starting to discover there is a lot of the businesses owned in northern Italy are actually owned by Chinese companies. And so Chinese businessmen from the Wuhan area were flying into northern Italy, and unfortunately it spread. The next thing, shelter in place. You're going to be hearing this word a lot over the coming days. If you're hearing what shelter in place is just basically a rule that some cities and portions of different states are putting in place, where find someplace safe and then stay there. Shelter yourself in one single place, and you're confined to this area. You may be hearing the fact that Northern California, specifically San Francisco, has instituted shelter in place. You're going to hear that cities like New York are considering shelter in place. And so if you're hearing this word shelter in place, basically what's going on is that there's these people who are just completely confined to one area. In Northern California, 7 million people have been placed into shelter in place. And so kind of gives you an idea of how people's lives are changing so quickly. But shelter in place is a word you're going to hear about. And to be honest, you're going to see more states and more cities be willing to do. Some bills to pay attention to over the next couple of days. First one, cash to Americans. Mike Mnuchin, who's the Secretary of the Treasury, announced along with President Trump that one of the things that they want to do is they want to pass a bill that would put cash in people's hands. We don't know exactly what the numbers are as of this morning, although there's supposed to be an announcement later on this afternoon. You're hearing numbers for as much as $1,000 for every single adult. That means if you worked in the year 2019 and you were 18 years old, within the next 2 weeks, they want to put $1,000 in your hand. But again, you had to be 18 in the year 2019, and you had to be a working adult, meaning that you got a W-2 for the year 2019. And so not everybody's going to get. The other thing that you're hearing people say is, hey, also give an additional $500 for every single child. These numbers are going to change until the government actually figures out a specific number. I don't think anybody knows, but it does seem like it's very likely that they're going to send money out to Americans. And the idea is that we'll spend it. And so we'll see if that happens. Historically, we find out that isn't necessarily what happens. The other one is sick leave and testing. If you didn't hear, the federal government has a bill right now to where people will be able to be paid for sick leave regardless of the amount of time. That would be covered by the federal government, and it would be a requirement of the federal government. And then also the testing. The $30 for the test would be subsidized by the government, or the government would actually pay for that. And so you are seeing the government stepping up. And this is not just a Republican thing. This is not just a Democrat thing. You're seeing the fact that both parties are coming together and making some of these decisions and making some mutual decisions. So that's obviously a good thing. And then Minnesota news, not to make it all about coronavirus, but I'm sorry, there's one thing up there, is sweep. If you didn't hear, there were 3 states that had primaries last night. Illinois, which is right here, Florida, which is here, Arizona's here. Obviously, President Trump won the primaries for those 3 states, but everyone's interested about the Democratic side. On the Democratic side, Joe Biden won all 3 states by double digits. And so you can see here on this map, the states that former Vice President Joe Biden has won are in dark blue, and then the states that Bernie Sanders has won are in aquamarine. And then here's where I was going. Imagine that, me messing up. Traded, some Minnesota news. Stefan Diggs. Stefan Diggs was traded to the Buffalo Bills yesterday. So if you're a Vikings fan, you might like it, you might not like it. Bills got, I believe, a 1st rounder, a 4th rounder, a 5th rounder, and a 6th rounder. So not too bad. But that's current events for today. Again, March 18th, 2018. Hope your day is going well. Stay intellectually involved. Keep calm. Teachers here, we're just kind of sitting around trying to get ready for March 30th. If there's anything you need, if there's stuff you need to make up, don't hesitate to contact us. Okay? Have a great day.